Ian Johnson was never a performer. He was a builder. First, last, and always. Through the early 2000s, his gravel-thick voice became a Saturday morning ritual. Surrounded by parts, tubing benders, and shop floor grime, Ian brought something rare to television: authenticity. He didn't unbox parts. He didn't follow trends. He bent steel, welded by hand, and built machines designed to bleed on the trail. Xtreme 4x4 wasn't just a show. It was education wrapped in horsepower. And then, one day, he was gone. There was no grand finale, no dramatic exit. The lights dimmed and the torch went cold. His name faded from episode guides. No press release explained it, no scandal surrounded it, just silence. What followed were whispers, speculation. Had he burned out? Had the network pushed him aside? Was it health, ego, contract disputes? No one seemed to know. And Ian, never one for explanations, didn't offer one. But the absence was impossible to ignore. For nearly a decade, he had been the face of real fabrication on television. A quiet teacher with calloused hands who gave more to the garage than the green room. And then, nothing. The disappearance of Ian Johnson wasn't a tabloid moment. It was more like a shop door, slowly closing, without saying why. But behind that silence was a decision, and a man who chose his integrity over attention. Before the cameras, before the signature welding mask and crawler builds, Ian Johnson was a teacher. Raised in Canada, he trained as a certified high school educator, specializing in shop and fabrication classes. While most instructors stayed within the lines of curriculum, Ian did something different. He used the classroom as a launchpad. After hours, he worked on his own rigs. He was part fabricator, part off-road junkie. He didn't learn by watching. He learned by doing. Ian's weekends were spent building, not polishing. He wasn't interested in car shows. He was more likely to be found buried under a trail rig, measuring coilover clearances, laying out tube chassis designs by hand, or pushing through a winter build with bare essentials. He lived it before he ever filmed it. Then came the opportunity. In the early 2000s, Spike TV's Power Block was searching for a new kind of host, someone who wasn't just a presenter, but a real builder. Someone who could fabricate, explain geometry, and hold a camera with the same intensity he held a TIG torch. They found him in a Canadian school shop, and Ian, quietly but decisively, stepped into a new role, one that would put him in front of millions of viewers. Not as a celebrity, but as a teacher with a national classroom. The show was called Xtreme 4x4, but what Ian Johnson brought to the screen had never been seen before. Not on network television, and not in the off-road world. While other shows focused on bolt-ons, cosmetic mods, or product placements, Ian rolled in tubing benders, set up jigs, explained metallurgy, suspension travel, driveline angles, and shock valving. He didn't build to impress, he built to educate. Each episode wasn't about what looked good on camera, it was about what worked on the trail. Viewers saw axles get cut, chassis get stitched together from raw dom, and full trail buggies born from nothing but chalk lines and steel. He spoke in a language many didn't expect on television, a language of process, failure, and rework. He didn't hide mistakes. He taught through them. It was unapologetically real. And it resonated. Among DIYers, weekend wrenchers, and young aspiring fabricators, Ian became a symbol, not of stardom, but of possibility. He made it okay to learn, okay to try, and most of all, okay to build something your way. What made Ian different wasn't just his knowledge. It was how he gave it away. No ego, no gatekeeping, just the work. After nearly a decade in front of the camera, Ian Johnson disappeared. No dramatic send-off, no farewell episode. Viewers tuned in expecting the next project, another trail rig, another custom suspension build, and instead found reruns. Then a new face, then silence. There was no controversy, no public dispute. Just the quiet retreat of someone who had given all he could to the machine and chose not to explain why he stepped off. He made a brief return on Four-Wheeler, a motor trend series that promised a back-to-basics approach. But something felt different. The edges were sanded down, the pacing slower. The energy that had once pulsed through steel and screen now felt distant, restrained. After a handful of episodes, Ian faded from view again. Fans speculated, forums filled with questions, rumors of contract disagreements, creative differences, health, burnout. Some believed he'd simply had enough of the scripted nature of television. Others said he was building off-camera and preferred it that way. But no one knew for sure. And Ian didn't clarify. He just stopped being there. And the world of off-road television felt noticeably quieter in his absence. For years, the silence left a vacuum. Fans speculated, theorized, guessed. But eventually, the truth surfaced. Not in a press release, but in a few low-profile interviews and podcast appearances. Ian Johnson, when asked directly, gave a simple answer. TV wants sound bites. I wanted to teach. The reality was far less dramatic than fans imagined, and more telling. After years of working inside the machine of network television, Ian had hit a wall. What had started as an outlet for education and real fabrication had slowly morphed into a product. Scripting crept in. Build timelines got tighter. Creative decisions were filtered through marketing departments and demo reels. Ian resisted. Quietly at first. Then firmly. He didn't want to film projects that looked good but wouldn't survive a trail day. He didn't want to install parts just because a sponsor asked. He wanted full autonomy, not for ego, but for authenticity. But that's not how the system worked. The compromises mounted. And eventually, he realized the work he wanted to do, the real work, couldn't exist on someone else's terms. So, he stepped away. Not with fanfare, not with bitterness. Just a welder's decision to return to what mattered. Tucked into the hills of Tennessee, far from any soundstage or corporate office, Ian Johnson built something else. A place where he could work with no scripts, no deadlines, and no interference. Big Tire Garage isn't a brand. It's a working fabrication shop, built on the same values Ian carried on screen. Craftsmanship, creativity, and brutal honesty. There are no velvet ropes, no film crews hovering overhead. Just tools, steel, and imagination. Here, Ian builds for the trail, and for himself. Full-tube rock buggies, one-off suspension systems, purpose-built monsters that roll, flex, and climb. It's not designed to be pretty. It's designed to perform. Every now and then, he shares glimpses. A YouTube video, a quick fabrication tip, a walkthrough of a new build. But these moments are on his terms. No production team, no agenda. He's still teaching, just differently now. And for those paying attention, the lessons haven't stopped. They've only become more distilled, more real. There is no studio now, just the sound of grinders, hammers, and the steady rhythm of someone who never stopped building. He just stopped broadcasting. Even in his absence from mainstream media, Ian Johnson's influence hasn't faded. In fact, for many, it's only grown stronger. Scroll through any fabrication forum or off-road group, and you'll see it. Clips of his Xtreme 4x4 episodes still circulating, step-by-step walkthroughs bookmarked, discussed, and used as reference guides for builds happening in real time. Welders credit him with teaching them what good penetration looks like. Off-roaders point to his cage designs as templates. DIY mechanics still model their home garage layouts after his. He didn't just build rigs, he built confidence. He spoke plainly, without ego, and broke down complex systems in a way that didn't talk down to viewers. In an era where many shows were designed to entertain, Ian's was designed to equip. And the proof is everywhere. In the small-town fab shops, the home garages, the tech school programs where instructors still roll in old clips and say, "Watch this." Ian never wanted to be famous. He just wanted people to know how to build the things they dreamed about. And in doing so, he left a legacy that no producer could ever script. The question lingers in every fan discussion. Will Ian Johnson ever come back to television? It's not that networks haven't tried. In the years since his quiet exit, multiple outlets have reached out. Some pitched rebooted formats. Others wanted to recreate the Xtreme 4x4 magic. Every time, Ian listened. But then, he asked the one question that always ended the conversation. Do I have full creative control? The answer, more often than not, was no. Ian doesn't want a show. He wants a shop that just happens to have a camera in it. No drama, no forced deadlines, no shallow builds dressed up for advertisers, just raw fabrication, built the way it's supposed to be. One tube at a time. He's said it clearly. He's not chasing ratings. He's not trying to build a brand empire. He's not even sure he wants to be watched. But if the right platform existed, one that would let him teach, experiment, and build without compromise, he'd consider it. Until then, he builds in silence. And the truth is, that silence says more than a new season ever could. Behind the voice, the welder, the legacy, there's someone most viewers never really got to know. Ian Johnson is private, grounded, still incredibly curious. He doesn't fill his days with content strategy or social media posts. He fills them with steel, with quiet, with motion. He lives simply, on his own terms, surrounded by tools, trails, and the satisfaction of problem-solving in the physical world. He doesn't attend celebrity car shows. He doesn't host product launches. He teaches, sometimes quietly, sometimes one-on-one, sometimes through the builds themselves. Those who've met him in person speak of his humility. He listens more than he talks. He answers questions directly, without fluff. He doesn't promote himself, because the work, he believes, should speak louder than the voice explaining it. It always did. Even off-camera, his hands are always moving. Building not just trucks, but a life that's honest, intentional, and completely unfiltered. He didn't leave the spotlight to disappear. He left because he didn't need it. In an era where visibility is currency, Ian Johnson chose silence. He could have capitalized. He could have chased deals, merch lines, influencer fame. But that was never the point. Ian didn't show up to entertain. He showed up to build, and to show others how they could too. The legacy he leaves behind isn't in episodes. It's in weld beads copied by kids in tech school, in roll cages built in backyard garages, in the quiet confidence of a generation that learned to fabricate by watching him work. That legacy wasn't made in a studio. It was forged. One lesson at a time, one mistake at a time, one trail-tested rig at a time. And whether or not he ever returns to the screen, he never really left. Because the best teachers don't need attention, just a torch, a table, and a reason to keep showing up.